Good morning, grade 12s. Welcome to Tuesday, April the 28th. Hope you had a good day yesterday. Today we want to continue our discussion on medical physics, but first let's get to our verse of the day. Today's verse of the day comes from Deuteronomy 6 verse 5, which simply says, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength." And so as you go through today, I would like to encourage you with that and encourage you to find ways to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and strength. Find practical ways to do that, and also through that then love one another. All right, getting into today, yesterday you were to read chapter 1 in your book and learn a little bit about how x-rays, CT scans, and PET scanners work, and so I hope you were able to do that. If you have any questions, then you can certainly email me and ask. I wanted to just point out one thing that was in the reading that you did, and that was the benefits and risks of screening. There are a few different types of cancers that doctors will screen for ahead of time, whether you have it or not. Primarily the two that are used are breast cancer and prostate cancer. And so those two cancers get pre-screened fairly regularly once you reach a certain age. Now, there are obviously risks and benefits to getting that regular screening. Some of the benefits are obviously early diagnosis of your cancer. If you were to have a cancer, your diagnosis is early, and with pretty much all cancers, if you get an early diagnosis, that cancer is fairly curable. Sometimes just knowing is a stress reliever and anxiety reliever. So those are some of the benefits, but there's also risks to getting regularly screened. Risks would include getting false test results, whether they are false positives or false negatives. Also, another risk would be overexposure to radiation. Every time you get a screening test done, you are exposing yourself to radiation, and as you will have learned, and as you are learning, that while radiation has many benefits in medicine, there are also risks of overexposure to radiation. And so we want to be careful of that. One of the other risks, and this is a sometimes controversial one, is overdiagnosis. Particularly with prostate cancer. Prostate cancer is generally a very, very slow moving cancer that appears in a majority of men late in life. What that means is that if you were to go for a prostate exam and it was positive and you were diagnosed with prostate cancer, you can live many, many, many years without exhibiting any symptoms and die of other causes, natural causes. In fact, there's stats out there that a majority of men die with prostate cancer, not from it, but with it. But the problem with diagnosing it too early is that as soon as you diagnose a cancer, then treatment starts coming into play. And whenever you have cancer treatments going on, you will have some side effects, and those side effects can decrease your quality of life. And so you have to weigh that, whether you want to just, again, not know. If you exhibit no symptoms, you just keep living your life as normal with a good quality of life, or do you get tested and potentially find that you have something that is a cancerous that wouldn't necessarily decrease your quality of life, but now you have to treat it, and those treatments would decrease that quality. And so there are obviously risks and benefits to that. Today, all I want you to do is read chapter 2 in your student booklet. Chapter 2 talks about some other ways to diagnose that do not include radiation. And in your interview with a cancer patient, you would have seen some of this. Ultrasound is one that is used quite regularly. MRIs are used quite regularly. Those are two imaging diagnostic technologies, where again gives you a different kind of picture of what's going on inside of you. There's also colonoscopies, which is again an internal look at what's going on inside of you. And the fourth one that isn't mentioned in your book is blood tests. Again, as some of you did your cancer patient interviews, many cancers produce blood markers in your blood, and they can be detected by a blood test. And so that is a fourth one that's not mentioned in your book. But again, I want you to read about those three, the MRI, ultrasound, and colonoscopy, learn a little bit about how they work and what they do. And yeah, hopefully that will go well for you. Yesterday on Monday, you were to finish up your research project on the 3/4 scientists that I asked you to do, Roentgen, Becquerel, and the Curies. And I want to share a few little things about the 4 of them real quick, and this leads us to our Did You Know section of today's lesson. So, did you know that Wilhelm Roentgen was expelled from school? Yes, in 1863, when he was 18 years old, he was expelled from school because of a prank that he didn't commit, but a friend of his did. He was falsely accused and he was expelled from school at age 18. So just because you're a famous scientist who wins a Nobel Prize doesn't mean he didn't get expelled from school. Henry Becquerel. Did you know that Henry Becquerel comes from a family of scientists? In fact, 4 generations of his family were scientists. His grandfather and his father, as well as himself and his son, all became scientists. And in addition to being a scientist, he also worked as an engineer. He was the head engineer for the Department of Bridges and Highways in France, where he was. And finally, the Curies. Fun fact about the Curies, Marie Curie was the first woman to win the Nobel Prize in 1903. Shortly after the 2 of them, Marie and Pierre, won their Nobel Prize in 1903, Pierre died in a road accident in 1906. Not sure what that looks like in 1906, what a road accident looks like, but he died in a road accident. And it was at that time that Einstein actually became one of Marie Curie's biggest fans. As she mourned the death of her husband, Einstein reached out to her, and the 2 of them became friends, and Einstein was a fan of Marie Curie and what she was working on. And another fun fact about Marie Curie was that she was the first woman to win a second Nobel Prize, which she won in 1911, and she actually won that in the field of chemistry. So she was not only the first woman to receive 2 Nobel Prizes, she was the first scientist of any gender that won a Nobel Prize in 2 different disciplines. So there you go, now you know. So again, today, read chapter 2 and in your student booklet, and we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.